Hello puppies! You are welcome to General Studies class. I am Uncle Popo. I believe you are ready for today's lesson. If you are ready, let's start the usual way we do. Uncle Popo is here. I am also here. We are here together. 100% attention. Good. 100% attention is what we need for this minute. Have you been to some places before where you see at the entrance of the door, you see pull, or sometimes you see push? I've been to some places like that and I got confused on what to do because I could not differentiate between pull and push. So most times I just force the door, anyhow it opens, I enter. Because of that, to avoid such confusion for you, I have just a short song. The words of the song is this: I pull, you push. Be on your feet because we are going to demonstrate it. I pull, you push. Now, see me doing that. I pull, you push. I pull, you push. I pull, you push. I pull, pull, pull. You push, push, push. I pull, pull, pull. You push, push, push. That is telling us something about a push and a pull, leading us to today's topic. Our topic for today is force. Say that, force. That's the topic for today. What is a force? What is a force? Before we define what force is, let's look at the learning objectives for today. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to define force, to give examples and types of forces. And lastly, you should be able to describe the effects of force. What is a force? From the song we just finished, we talked about a push and a pull. Now let's look at the definition of what a force is. A force is a push or pull applied on an object. A force is a push or pull applied on an object. That's the most popular definition for primary school pupils, this definition. But I have a very simple one. A force is anything that makes objects move. A force is anything that makes objects move. That's another definition. Then before we finish for today, we are going to look at the two definitions. We have talked about a push and a pull. When you pull, you draw to yourself. When you push, you move it outside. You can see from the diagram here, push, and this is a pull. Force, when you push or pull something, you are using an effort to try to make it move. And this effort is called force. Force is the only thing which can make an object start moving, stop moving, or change the direction of its motion. That's still talking about what a force is. We have some examples of force in this in the diagram here. You can see here a boy trying to do something with the car. I don't want to say the answer yet. From here now, what is the boy doing? Is he pulling or pushing? Don't forget the song is pushing. See a woman with this goat. What do you think the woman is doing? Pushing or pulling? You are drawing, she is drawing to herself, is pulling. And you can see the tug of war here. The boys here. What are they doing in the diagram? They are pulling. That is to really differentiate between what pull and push means. Types of forces. Types of forces. We have different types of forces. But before that, I would like to talk about the categories of forces. There are two categories of forces. We have contact force and non-contact force. A contact force is a force where two objects are physically touching each other. A contact force is a force where two objects are physically touching each other. Non-contact force is the opposite. It's a force where two objects are not physically touching each other. When we talk about objects here, it's not only referring to non-living things. It could be a man. Take note of that. The types of forces now fall under the two categories. Dish out now falls under the two categories of contact force and non-contact force. The number one here is muscular force. Say that. Muscular force. A muscular force is a force produced by our muscles when we walk. Muscular force is a force produced by our muscles when we walk. Like today now, I know Mom had asked some of you to pack your load, carry some things to where they're supposed to be. You have exerted a muscular force. You can see a man lifting weight here is exerting a muscular force. Even while walking, we exert a muscular force. Another type of force is gravitational force. Say that. Gravitational force. Good. Force exerted by the earth on all objects. It pulls them to its center. Force exerted by the earth on all objects. It pulls them to its center. What is this gravitational force talking about? Is a type of force whereby when, let me just use this as example. When you throw any object up, definitely you know the object will come down. If you throw your biro up now, it has to come down. We have some invisible forces, you can't see them, that push all those objects down. That means they have to come back to the center. That's gravitational force. When you jump up, you definitely come down. You can't stay long and remain there. That's gravitational force. It pulls all objects back to its center. The next type of force is magnetic force. Say that. Magnetic force. Magnetic force is the force which is produced by magnet and pulls metallic materials to it. Magnetic force is the force which is produced by magnet and pulls metallic materials to it. For instance, I believe some of you have used magnet before. Magnets attract metallic objects like your pins, nails. When you move it close, it attracts those metallic objects. That is magnetic force. That is magnetic force. Another type of force is frictional force. Say that. Frictional force. Frictional force is a force which opposes the motion of an object on a surface. Frictional force or friction is a force that tries to stop movement in between two surfaces. The very common example here is when you rub your palms together. You can see, you can do that with me. Rubbing your palms together, there is a force that is trying to stop the movement, except we have oily substance that can make it to run faster and smoothly. But without that, there is a force trying to stop the movement. That's frictional force. We'll see more examples as I proceed. Another type of example is electric force. Say that. Electric force. This is a force that you get from electricity. It's a force you get from electricity. Here, you get to know more about this in your higher class, but we just want you to be aware that we have electric force as one of the types of forces. Next one is electrostatic force. Say that. Electrostatic force. It's another type of force between charged objects at rest. These two is just for you to be aware that we have what we call electrostatic force. You get to know more about this in your higher class. But before we go for today, I have videos that will tell you activities involved in all these types of forces. Like the ones I've listed above, I told you before that we have contact force as one of the categories and non-contact force. Like, let's now pick it and see the one that is contact, the one that is not contact, just to be sure we can fix them under the categories. The first one is, let's start with this one. Muscular force. Is it contact force? Does it fall under contact force or not contact force? Good. It falls under contact force because it takes two objects to physically touch each other. That's muscular force. That's a contact force. Gravitational force, is it a contact force or non-contact force? Is a non-contact force because it doesn't involve two objects physically touching each other. The barrel you throw up does not have anything in contact physically. So that's all about that. To know about how to share all these types of forces under different categories. Now I have this short video to see the activities involved in all these types of forces I've listed. Uncle Popo is here. Stay there and watch the video.
There are many types of forces. Let us study about the different types of forces by performing some activities. Activity 1. Take a few iron nails or pins and keep them on a piece of paper. Bring a magnet near them. What do you observe? The nails or pins move towards the magnet and get stuck to it. The force by which the nails are attracted towards the magnet is called magnetic force. Activity 2. Take a plastic comb or a plastic scale and rub it on your hair for a minute. Bring the comb or scale near the tiny pieces of paper. What do you observe? The pieces of paper are attracted towards the comb or the scale. The force developed by rubbing the comb or scale is called electrostatic force. Activity 3. Throw a ball upwards. What do you observe? After reaching to some height, it comes down to the ground. Why? Because our earth exerted some force on it and pulls it down. This pull of the earth is called gravitational force. Activity 4. Roll a ball on the floor. After some time, it stops. Though no force is applied. What makes the ball stop? There is a force of friction between the surface of ball and the surface of floor. It is this force of friction that makes the ball stop after some time. When any object moves over a surface, the force which opposes the motion of an object is called frictional force. Look at the boy running and the girl lifting her bag. They are using muscular force.
Eyes on me. Good. From the video, you have seen some activities under different types of forces. Now let's move on to effect of force. The first one is it can make a stationary object start moving. It can make a stationary object start moving. The second one is it can stop a moving object. It can stop a moving object. Just like in frictional force, when you throw a ball on the floor, it will get to a certain stage that the ball will no more moving because the force is no more exerted on it and it will stop. The next one is it can change the speed and direction of a moving object. It can change the speed and direction of a moving object. I will still use a football as example. When they kick a ball to you, moving at a very rapid speed, you can change the direction in passing the ball to another person. So that's a force. It can change the speed and direction of a moving object. Next one is if force is applied, it can change the shape or size of an object. If enough force is applied, it can also change the shape or size of the object. Just like in case of accident where two vehicles collide, the shape will definitely be changed. And that's effect of forces. Now let's look at the summary of what we have just done today. A force is a push or pull applied on an object. That's the definition. And I wrote another definition that a force is anything that makes an object move. From the two definitions, you will see that this first one is only talking about the category contact force because it has to do with push or pull. And this definition does not cover non-contact force. So it's making the definition, if they want to mark it for you, to be given half mark. But the one I later wrote for you, that a force is anything that makes object move. That one covers both contact force and non-contact force. Exactly, pupils. Yes, Uncle Popo is what I want to hear. So we also talked about different types of forces, the muscular force, gravitational, magnetic, electric, and so on. And we talked about effect of force. We have come to the end of today's lesson. I believe you enjoyed today's lesson. Before I go, don't forget, I pull, you push. I pull, you push. When you pull and you push, apply it on an object. Bye-bye.